Hi, everybody. Welcome back. Another Monday night. How you doing, Keith?
Yes, yes. You know, how can you not get excited? And the busiest of days, school teacher Kelly, me working in the healthcare industry, and all day I'm thinking, no matter how bad the day gets, I get to go home, be with my family, pet my babies, and get to be with people I love, which is my colleague, Mrs. Kelly Miller.
Aw.
I'm so blessed to have someone in my life that I love, and I'm going to tell you, Kelly keeps me going. I'm so blessed.
Aw. We're
Speaking
both
of,
blessed. We're both blessed.
we are, and that's, yeah, I will. So, speaking of blessings today and special days, I talked to Kelly about starting something a little new. The show's in that little dynamic, a little atmosphere there. And birthdays. So many of you that are out there, all the people that we love and care about that are our para family, yes, some special birthdays today. Now, two I know of. But if it's your birthday, in the comments, if you're watching the show, let us know and we'll give you the wishes. Number one, our man, Mr. Jay Yates, someone we all know and love, out there on the West Coast, Vulture City Paracon, multiple time zone shows, recently on Ghost Adventures, and literally like my brother. Another very special person, speaking of brothers, my friend Daryl Martinson of Ghost Hunters, his lovely and amazing and beautiful wife, Melanie Hamlin Brown, is her birthday is today. So a couple shout outs about birthdays. So that's something we're starting, and we wanted to just reach out there and make your day special on our very special show. And that's something we're so looking forward to.
And if your birthday
Speaking
happens to fall on one of our show days and times, just send us a message too.
Please let us know. Speaking of which, speaking of special, yes, it's true. We have the man himself. I would, I will just tell you this right now. This guy, if you don't have these tonight, you're going to need them. That's why they're sitting next to me. I promise you before the night's end, I'm going to be using them. This man is like a brother to me. He has actually kind of taken me under his wing in this field, and he believed me at a time to where I was really working hard to get some places. And he says, "Hey, Keith, let's do this." And but not only that, it's what he does for our four-legged family members, which both me and Kelly's, and I'm sure all of you have out there in this field, and that's our little lovely little pets. Tim is known for the photographs, and we're so blessed to have him on the show. Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, let's bring to the show our friend, our buddy, the one and only Mr. Tim Maile.
Yes. I think I need to hire you as a hype man. God, I hope I can live up to half of that. I was just in the bathroom about 10 minutes ago trying to get this hair to look somewhat presentable, and I didn't feel so special then, but thank you.
Oh my goodness.
You did it up right now. Look at this welcome you got. I mean,
we barely even got things going, and we've already got people in the. We got Thomas Cardoz, Julie Schwecky, Dana Stricker flips in. Brandon's in the house. Brandon Johnson.
Mm-hmm.
We haven't even got started, and it's going to go all the way down. Darren Buss is here, our buddy. And listen, so many people absolutely love Tim. And I think it's just so many of the hats that he wears as an investigator, photographs, his occasional insight of what he puts out there in the paranormal about, hey, folks, let's get along. We're in this for something. We've got to be bigger than ourselves and do something special. I will tell you, I go to Tim at many times in confidence of conversation, and he says, "You know what, Keith? As long as you're doing it to help people and being kind, I know you. You're my friend. Keep at it." And that just inspires my day. It's like thank you. I feel like I'm re-energized. And
And I
You
think
got
that's kind of your mission, Tim, from what, we've kind of talked briefly about it. And so, for those who aren't as familiar, can you describe your Potograph's mission?
The Potographs mission and the paranormal mission have kind of melted together. It wasn't that way in the beginning. The Potographs mission, for people that don't know me, and looking at some of the names here, there might be a few. So, for people that don't know me, I started this paranormal journey in 2008. Been doing this for 13 years now. Really have focused on the residential side of things. I used to. I was leaning towards being the old crabby paranormal investigator and get off my lawn, but I've kind of softened as the years have gone by. I still, the only time you'll really get me to talk about paranormal is when somebody does something that is just so utterly stupid that I can't control myself. But yeah, I mean, as long as you are doing it,
yes.
And I hesitate to say for the right reasons, because I don't have the right reasons. I know the wrong reasons, but the right reasons, I got into this because I couldn't find any help with the stuff that was happening in my home. And really that launched this whole paranormal journey. I had to educate myself. And there came a time when I kind of looked in the mirror and said, maybe there's some other families out there that aren't getting the help that they deserve. And before we get too far into it, I'm not perfect. I will never claim to be perfect. All we can do is promise that we'll try our best. And that's all we've ever promised. But, things really took off for us. We had a case in 2010 that we worked on for 2 years that ended up on Paranormal Witness. And overnight, my life kind of changed. It was weird. I was naive to, well, first of all, I was naive to the entire paranormal field. At the age of 31, I started experiencing this stuff in my new home, and I never really dealt with anything paranormal. The family didn't talk about it, any of that. And here I am thrust into the situation. And so naive to the fact that people did this, and then naive to the fact that so many people watched Paranormal Witness. As soon as my name flashed on that screen, it sounds corny, but my life changed. All of a sudden, I'd be legitimate in the eyes of people within the paranormal community, and I thought we were legitimate before that. But yeah, anyway, whatever we got to do. But anyway, so once this aired, or once word had gotten out that I was going to be on the Sci-Fi Channel, I started to get some more opportunities at paranormal conferences. And they give you a table there and they say, hey, sell whatever you want. And I had nothing, which wasn't a problem for me. But I knew looking forward that there were going to be opportunities. Mm-hmm. And now I got to go backwards a little bit. In 2006, I was dealing with a lot of personal things. I just bought the home that I'm in right now, was going through a lot of things personally. And bought this house, ended up in it by myself. Nobody needs to hear that part of the sob story. But the important part is I wanted to get a dog, and I did. And I got a lab pit mix. I brought him home, and he was experiencing the things that I was. He was hearing and seeing everything that I was. And for the first time since this activity had started in my new home, I didn't feel crazy, because some other living being was seeing and hearing the things that were happening. We bonded very quickly. Murray was beaten as a puppy and rescued from the home he was in. At first, they didn't want to let me come and see him because he didn't like men. I convinced them that I was no ordinary man. Make your own jokes. Make your own jokes. But I went to go see him, and it was this instant connection. This puppy that wasn't supposed to like me came running to me and jumped into my arms. And a few days later, I got to bring him home. We, like I said, bonded very quickly. But a few months after I got him, the depression that I was going through really almost got the best of me. And I remember sitting in my bathroom, and without getting too much into detail, because I never knew who was listening to these, and I don't want somebody's child to be listening and get the wrong idea. But I went through each family member, each friend, and why it would be okay if I wasn't here anymore. And I felt something on my arm, and I looked down, and it was Murray, and he'd rested his head on my arm, and he was looking up at me with these big, beautiful brown eyes. And in that moment, I couldn't do it. I dropped to the floor, and I held him, and I cried for, I bet, an hour. And he and I were like father and son after that. And it was a special bond that we had, and I say had, even though he's still here. He passed in October 2019. But as I started to get more opportunities at paranormal conferences, Photographs for Pooches became a thing. I started talking about what I can do with that space. And originally, it was just, hey, let's take some pictures of Murray and I, and he's going to photograph these, and I'll personalize them at an event, and we'll charge $10. And if we make a few bucks, we'll give it to the shelter in the area, and everybody will be happy. That first event that we did was right here in Oshkosh, and we raised $10. And I didn't have any expectations, but $10 didn't seem like a whole lot to me. But it was a start. And eventually things just grew until the point where John Cassidy convinced me that we should do a Photographs exclusive event in Petoskey. And at that event, I believe we raised $741.
Wow. That's amazing.
And that was a big deal to me. And, moving forward, we had an event in Petoskey, Michigan, where I brought Murray along. It was his 10th birthday. Yesterday would have been his 15th birthday. I brought him along for his 10th birthday, and everybody saying happy birthday to him. Took him to an event in Wisconsin later that year, and he got a standing ovation.
Oh,
yeah. he was a star of the show, and he quite honestly still is. Mm-hmm. I will always play second fiddle to him, and Photographs will always be about him. Mm-hmm. And I've said many, many times, I'm just the guy that gets to tell the story.
Right.
So, going a little bit more forward to this past March, we got together almost 2 months ago now in Houghton Lake, Michigan. And through that event, we're able to raise $13,223.
Wow, that's amazing!
So
that's amazing.
We're up over 61,000. Michelle Nason's in the room. She makes a lot of baskets for the events, and she herself raised over $1,500 for that event.
Wow.
She's like the most annoying little sister, but I love her to death. And she does so much for Photographs. And there are so many people within the paranormal field that have given their time and donated their time to this cause. And I couldn't have done it without them and the people that support us, and my mom who watches my dog so I can get out of town. It's not just me. It's not just Murray. It's a whole community. And this is probably a longer answer than you were hoping for. But in a nutshell, that is Photographs. And like I said, there were no expectations. And then all of a sudden, boom, it took off, and it became this movement. And it's a very special thing, and we're enjoying the ride.
Oh.
Look at these comments already. Taryn Kerper, she goes, Tim will be on the brew soon. I think it's amazing what he does for the animal rescues. So amazed. I think he is a saint for four-legged little fur babies. You're a gem, Tim. And again, I so love you, Tim, and I love this. I'm going to be sharing on the Paranormal Brew and can't wait for Tim to be on. That's when you speak, even when you say Tim's name out there, everybody has their own little story of when they've been to events, they've met you at these Paracons, they've obviously broke down in tears and heard the stories, and that's really what makes it all so special when you have somebody that is so well loved and respected in this field that people are like, if we had more people like that in the paranormal, what could we do? Who could we help? all the time. I say it over and over, and that's why having someone like this on a show that, Tim, when me and Kelly started this show, is the whole thing was how do these people that we're going to have on the show help others in the paranormal, or help anyone in the paranormal, pets, or and obviously you're at that way top of the list, like the top 5.
I don't think I'm as high as you think I am.
No. Then your name is out there, and people just continuously are like, wow. And what the stories they just continue of the events they've been to, and really, even I've told Kelly with it about it before, is that the people that you've helped in the paranormal, the other ones that you reach out to and give the, show a little love, and the people, when they say, hearing it coming from Tim, then we know that that's someone who's really trying, who needs probably legitimately, because you pretty much vet that before you even get to that point of saying, yeah, I'll put my name out there and put your stamp on it. So that's what's really very cool.
I appreciate all the kind words, but I can't help but think, like, an hour ago I was sitting on my couch scratching myself for like 10 minutes. I'm not special. And I think that's the reason that this works, is I'm just a normal guy, and I'm just trying to do what I think is right. And people have latched onto it. I'm grateful that people out there think that I'm all these things that they're saying. And trust me, I try to be. But I fail just like every other person. So it's humbling when people talk about you like this, and it's humbling when I could sit and listen to Murray stories all day. People will tell me about times they met him at events. It's just that makes my day, and I absolutely love to talk about him. I could be in the worst mood, and somebody will ask me about Murray, and my mood changes, and I'm all about what you want to know. But we try to do the right thing. And am I better than anybody? I don't know. I love the people that are a part of this mission, and I love the people that help us do what we do. Like I said, I couldn't do it by myself. It's the bigger this gets, the more work it is. I'll tell you that. But I've often told people that I'm kind of married to photographs, and that's kind of, I feel like that's my calling, and that's what I'm supposed to be doing. So until I take my last breath, that's what I do.
So many very cool people in here, just continuing to put the love in. Our friend Bob Burnell there. Hi, Bob. Thanks for being with us tonight. Oh, so many people. Again, Michelle's there. She goes on to say, Pottergraph's event is an actual event, will change your life. The energy and the love in the room. One man, one dog, beautiful mission. And the stories just continue. You are definitely not a normal guy, Kelly Schilling, but it says love you, Tim. So, and Shelly, then Michelle again said, you're right, Shelly. Total, and look, again, Taryn, I totally feel you on that. I lost my fur baby soulmate in November, and my life will never be the same. Wow.
And I think that's something too, like all 3 of us have other rescues.
Right.
We have other pets. So it's not just like a bonding factor over, of course, all these intangible things in the paranormal, but it's also another way to bond with these love of the animals that just have impacted us so greatly. And, to hear, like, knowing what rescues I got and I have cats and dogs that are rescues, and both of them, hearing your story is not only inspiring, but it's also very humanizing to a level that we can, take, like you said, what can I do with this space? You use those words, what can I do? I've been giving this platform, what can I do with it? And I just think it's amazing what you have done with it. And of course, all the shelters do too.
Thank you. It's weird because when I started to open up about the suicide attempt and the depression, I didn't know what to expect. And one of the first big events I did was at the old mill in Dundee, Michigan, the old Mill Fair Fest. Tim Rian had brought me in for that event. And at the time, that was the biggest crowd I'd ever spoken to. And it was about 225 people. And I got done and we did a little bit of a Q&A afterwards. And I had no idea what my words had done.
Mhm.
And I got back to my table and I had a line outside the room. And it kind of makes me emotional. But the first person in that line was an elderly lady, and she was there with her 3 kids. And she just wanted to tell me about her daughter's cat that she got after her daughter passed, and how that was her only connection to her daughter, and the cat had just passed. And I just got up and gave that lady a hug.
Mhm.
And I think it was at that moment that I realized that the words that I'm speaking up there are really hitting home with people.
Mhm.
And yeah, like I said, it just, I just get up there and I tell Murray's story.
Mhm.
And, that's pretty easy for me. But it's a vulnerable topic. I saw somebody say that earlier.
Mhm.
It is. It's very vulnerable. And it's weird because I'm very open about it on social media. To the point where I celebrated Murray's birthday yesterday and kind of put a post up there. And, but I didn't talk to anybody.
Mhm.
I'm open about it, but then I'm very, very private. And I just wanted to sit at home and be alone and celebrate that birthday with him
Mhm.
and my dogs and my cat. So, I mean, there's a balance there that I teeter off and on. And I'm still getting used to a lot of people knowing my name, which is weird to me. But I will tell you this, to make people laugh a little bit, because I've probably made you cry already. Yeah, the last name is pronounced Maile, so I know that I know you if you pronounce my name right. If you come at me with Maile or Maile, then I know we haven't met. So
That'll be a quiz question for any future show that ever wants it.
Later in the show, that's one of the
pronounce
questions.
it right, or else forget about it. His people will cancel on your people. You have to learn
his people.
how to. Yeah.
We do have a question, though. It's a really good one, actually. Yeah. So let's go with this, and this is going to be to Tim. Does everyone believe that animals can feel a spiritual or even maybe a demonic presence before we can? What's your thoughts on that, Tim? Animals and the feeling.
That's a good question, Thomas. I can only go from what I've experienced. I never took Murray on an investigation because I never wanted to subject him to that. Because when I go in, it's my choice, and I don't want to make that choice for him. So I never took him on an investigation. But what I will tell you is that if I ever brought anything home with me, he was the first one to let me know. So he knew, and he could pick up on that stuff. And from the moment he walked in the door, he knew, because he was seeing and hearing the things that I had been experiencing. Mm-hmm. So I believe very strongly that they can.
So, Thomas, I hope that answered your question for sure. And maybe even in general, what's your thoughts, Tim? I know it's been asked to me to ask you on animal spirits, and actually after they've passed, and what role they could very well possibly be in the world of the living and around us and around the other remaining pets.
And I keep going back to Murray, but I do have a story that doesn't involve Murray, but I'll tell the Murray one first.
Okay.
Murray makes his rounds with several mediums that are very good friends of mine. And he actually went to April Roan yesterday. She's like my little sister, one of my best friends in the world. And she sent me a message, and she said, Murray is telling me that he's very excited about the food. He's showing me something that's frozen. And I had just gone out to my grill and put 5 steaks on the grill that were in the freezer. But he sends me messages about, it's off the wall stuff. It's not just, hey, Dad, I miss you type stuff. But I take that too. But yeah, he's very he gets around with the mediums. Story that doesn't, it kind of involves him. A few years back in 2017, we had to put our cat down. His name was Bip. and had to put him down. And I had gotten him for Murray, so he grew up with Murray. He had a very sudden sickness. Had to go in and have him put down. Very emotional day. We had gone to bed that night, and the room was completely dark, and I was just laying there. Murray was on the floor sleeping, and I saw this big shadow. It was darker than dark, and it started doing like, "Hey, I'm here," almost jumping up and down. And it got my attention to the point where I sat up. And I looked over and I saw my cat Bip walk through the bedroom door. And he went over and he sat in front of Murray and sat there for about 10 seconds before he disappeared.
Aww.
And for me, that was him coming to say goodbye to his best friend.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
And that, like, I am very emotional just with normal things. Like, I cry during football games, Keith. So,
I've already cried tonight already. I'm trying sniffling. John's saying I'm sniffling and snorting. God, I knew. Oh.
I did a 2-hour interview one night where every other word I was going.
I know. I can't help it. I've already started.
But anyway, so yeah, I fully believe in animal spirits. I had a dog pass. Her name was Sasha. She was a black lab. She was a rescue. 2 days after she passed, I heard her barking at the door to go outside.
Oh.
But it's like at the time you don't understand how special that is because you're still grieving. And if I'm being honest, I'm still grieving about Murray. But when I get a message from him or I see him or I hear him, that just tells me that I'm important enough that he's coming back to check on me.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Oh.
And that's a bond that'll never be broken. It really won't be.
No doubt about it. Whew.
Now, what do you think, Tim? Like, kind of, you hinted at it, and I really appreciate your view of not, deciding for Murray to take him into an investigation. But have you ever either done investigations with other teams or seen animals at work in investigations that you think was really valid or something that, kind of stuck out to you as a memorable experience, witnessing those animals pick up on all those extra sensory things that some of us, that we aren't privy to?
I have never investigated with an animal. I used to be like, I touched on it earlier about being the old man in the paranormal and get off my lawn. And that was a very touchy subject for me. Just because I was so incredibly protective of Murray. I didn't want to. And another thing about him is he suffered from seizures for the last 9 years of his life. He was on medication. So I didn't want to put him in a situation that would cause another one of those.
Right.
I've softened to the point where if people take animals on investigations, I'm not going to sit in my front lawn and scream at you anymore because it's not my job to police the paranormal. But it's just not something that I would do. I just don't feel comfortable with it.
So we have some really cool questions. First of all, I want to give a shout out to another super amazing person who's like a sister to me, Michelle LeBaron. People don't know Michelle. Literally such a sweetheart and such a dear friend to me and other people. I guess like Tim, if you know her, and she's a sweetheart. But we have some cool questions. So Steve White has something here. Hi guys. Last week we'd asked representatives from the Travel Channel and 2 from the Holderman Mansion this question. Would love to get your thoughts on this. Can a spirit be attached to 2 different things at the same time, meaning 2 different objects or person and object? What's your thoughts, Tim?
I believe they can. I don't think there's any limit. I think there's certain things that we did a residential case a few years back where the family had purchased an antique bed from one of those storage auctions and had brought back 2 spirits with them.
Wow.
It was actually a very dark case, and I really don't want to get into the details of it because it's pretty horrible.
Right.
But both of those spirits were attached to that bed for reasons that I don't want to get into. But I believe you can be attached to an object. I also believe you can be attached to people. And then there's the spirits that just float from, and not floating in the literal sense, but just float from person to person and are able to interact with whoever they want, whenever they want. And honestly, that's probably a better question for Kelly because she is the medium out of the group.
Absolutely, Kelly.
So I would actually like to get her thoughts on that.
Good. There we go, Kelly. Talking tech, you're the
That's
talk. I'm more.
That's right, exactly. That's why I have to have a co-host because I wouldn't shut up. So therefore,
No,
yeah. But no, I think that they can. I'm just reviewing the question. I mean, I think they can. You know, I've had clients ask. You know, I experienced my loved one here, and then I also experienced them here, and can they be multiple places at the same time? And you know, I often pose it back to them like, if you had no limits, what would you choose to do? I mean, you can be as many places as you want, or, you know, you can send as many signs as you want at the same time. You can be checking on multiple friends or family members at the same time. So I just kind of think of it like that. If you're just thinking of energy, you know, if you had no bounds, then, you know, from my experience with spirit, that's how I always preface it. I believe that they can be in different places at the same time.
You know, and that's one of the things I've even asked Kelly even in the past. Some things is with her contacts and stuff in the mediumship and the paranormal of people that do have these type of attachments. You know, is it something that they're able to maybe eventually it leaves them, or something that could possibly stay because it just feels so comfortable with them?
And I think too, it has a lot to do with the people. I mean, I believe intention is the number one thing. Like if you're a paranormal investigator, if you're a person who, you know, is avidly buying antique things or whatever the case may be, that you're putting yourself around these other energies, even if it's unconsciously thinking about it. I really think it has to do with the intention of the person and what they're trying to do. I mean, I've encountered some clients that they are well aware that there's spirit attachment to a particular item or thing, and they will be the last person to ever want to get rid of it or they'll, yep. You know, and vice versa, you know. So I think it can happen from my experience of spirit. I just think too, that it's a very fine line and you really have to designate your intention. That kind of about similar lines, Flip posed a good question. He said, what percentage of your residential cases are cleanup cases after some inexperienced team made things worse for the family?
Flip's trying to get me in trouble.
I just saw that too. I was kind of laughing inside.
That sounds like something he would do, by the way. He would do that.
Well, I'm going to be honest. Probably about a third. And it's frustrating because a lot of those third come from the same team. And I'm not going to give them any satisfaction in me saying their name. But we got a team in the area that's very well known for running around crying demon and then disappearing and leaving it for somebody else to go in and take care of. And so, yeah, it's frustrating, but it's also rewarding for us and humbling that people around the state will recommend us, refer us to the family. There's a lot of teams in the area that if they get a case that they might not be able to handle, they call us. And that's also pretty special to know that you have that kind of relationship where they have enough trust in you to send you to a case that is important to them, but they might not be prepared for it. So, but I'm also going to preface that, or it's not a preface because I said it afterwards, but like I said earlier in the show, we're not perfect either. So having us come in and, and check it out doesn't guarantee that we're going to be able to help either, but we're sure going to try.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, we got a good one from Bob for you, Tim.
Oh,
Bob
boy.
Burnell always asks some really great questions. Such a great guy. We love Bob. And you're right, Michelle. It's very rewarding to get to have that and help people. So Bob asked, I had a negative paranormal experience at my house, and my cat alerted me there was something going on By the way, she was acting, running around with her belly low to the ground, eyes wide open, and scared. Um, so that being said, and you kind of see that and have something. Have you actually been to a residential case, Tim, and kind of read off of what maybe if the adults or and they're kind of but you see something with the pets that you get maybe more out of from them maybe than you do even possibly the adult. Have you ever found that to where like you could see the animals staring at something or maybe you know acting in a way that would really alarm you?
First, I'm going to go back to when you asked me if I knew Michelle. I know of Michelle. I don't personally know Michelle, but I've heard good things.
She's a sweetheart.
The second thing I wanted to say, I wanted to tell a funny story before I got into my story about animals and noticing spirits. I had a lady come up to me at an event and started telling me about how her cat stared into the corners of the room. And you have to know me to know my sense of humor. And I looked at her. I looked at her and said, sometimes cats are just dumb.
That's a flag. I got to throw a flag on that. 5 yards.
I have
First
cats,
down.
and that's accurate. That's accurate.
Actually.
Sometimes my cat's an idiot. But anyway, I'm not dismissing Bob's story. I'm saying that. I want to make that clear. We had a case where we got a lot of information from the dog in the house.
Mm-hmm.
The dog was being targeted by the spirit.
Oh.
So much so that while we were trying to communicate with the spirit and ask questions about the dog and why he was messing with the dog's shock collar, which I don't condone. Mm-hmm. I'm not a real big shock collar guy. But anyway, this dog had a shock collar on. The shock collar went off twice when we were asking questions.
Wow. And
the dog didn't make a sound. To the point where we took the shock collar off for the rest of the night because we didn't want it to continue going off. So yes, I mean, going back to that question about do I take animals on investigations? No, but if there's an animal in the building or in the home, we will investigate with them there if the client is comfortable. And there have been times where we've had interactions.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Kevin Hart's got a little question of the night, our buddy Kevin.
Hey, Kevin.
And Kevin Hart. Very vocal guy, but he's just going to tell you how he sees it. No doubt about it.
It's my second favorite Kevin Hart.
There you go.
Yeah.
Kevin goes on to say, have you ever got any EVPs of spirits communicating with clients' pets? What's your thoughts on that? With that?
I don't think we've gotten any EVPs with clients specifically, or with spirits specifically communicating with the client's pet. At least nothing I can remember at the time. I definitely think it's possible because there's a lot of spirits that seem very in tune and very interested in the animals in the home.
Right.
I also will say this about Kevin Hart. You could sit and talk to that dude for like an entire weekend and not get bored. There is so much intelligence in that mind of his. Yeah. So if you get a chance to sit with Kevin Hart and listen and sit under the learning tree, you do it.
Kevin Hart is that guy. He's going to tell you. He's going to call you when he sees it and says, "No, BS, no, wrong. That's not how it goes."
But the great thing about that is, if you have nothing to hide, it doesn't matter.
Right.
Right. Kevin's that guy, and he's like, "I don't care. It is what it is. If you're doing what you're doing and doing it for the right reasons and trying to do it in an approach where it's credible, you're not going to get chastised." But we in this world, there are those who, as we well know. But anyway, but kudos to you, Kevin. Keep being a rock star. Go and do it, buddy. So Steve White goes on to say, "Hey guys, do you ever ask a client before investigating a residential location what their intentions might be? This way you'll have an idea up front of their expectations."
Every single time. That's part of the process. What do you want to get out of this? What are we looking to do? And if the first words out of their mouth are, we need to move this along, then we need to have a serious talk with them about figuring out what the spirit is before we even think of doing that.
Right.
I'm not one of those guys that walks into a home and goes, okay, we need to get rid of this sight unseen. Because we fear what we don't understand.
Right.
True.
And
the unknown.
And these people may be dealing with grandma,
Mm-hmm.
and they don't know. You know, grandma's making a lot of noise because the first 6 years she's tried to get your attention, you haven't listened. Now all of a sudden she's banging pots and pans together, and you think the exorcist is coming, but it's grandma.
Grandma Pearl.
Yeah.
Grandma.
So that's a very important part of it. Is you need to figure out, and no, you're not going to figure it out every time, but you have to have a decent idea of what you're dealing with before you go in and say, okay, let's get rid of it. And getting rid of this is another topic because, you know, you can't just hold them by the hand and cross the street. That doesn't work. But anyway, I'll get off my soapbox for a bit. But yeah, finding out what it is. And 90% of the time when you find out what it is, they're completely at ease with it.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's what it is. Well, that's not a big deal. You know, oh, it was my brother the whole time. You know, going back to that team I refused to give credit to, they told a little boy that he had a demon inside of him, and all of the things happening in the home were his fault.
Oh, dear God.
And we got into the house on a referral. We investigated twice, had one piece of audio, and we couldn't understand what the spirit was trying to tell us because it sounded like a speech impediment. We played it for the client. She recognized it as her brother, and they moved back into the home.
Mm-hmm.
So it's very important. You don't understand the power you have as a
Right.
paranormal investigator, and some people abuse that.
That's so true.
And it's you need to understand that the decisions you make impact lives, and you need to act accordingly. And that's where I go back to, you know, just don't be a shit person. You know, if you can't manage that part of it, then I can't help you. We go through, and I can't believe we're 43 minutes in, and I haven't mentioned Todd Arnold's name.
Todd! Where's Todd?
Todd
I'm sitting. Where is Todd?
He's not here because he doesn't listen to me talk because he hears me talk enough. Todd has worked with me in the paranormal field for 13 years.
I've yet to meet Todd.
My very best friend. I would die for him in a heartbeat.
Mm.
And love the man to death. Been digging around in dark buildings with him for 13 years now. And when we look for new team members, the number one characteristic we look for in a team member is compassion. I don't care if you know anything about the paranormal. I really don't. I feel in my heart we can teach you that, but I can't teach you to care about people. I can't teach you to be to not be a shitty person. So that's the number one thing.
Mm-hmm. Well, and you do have to have almost a bedside manner when it comes to interacting with, you know, like the case you gave us as an example. I mean, you really are treading on very sensitive territory. And until you do more thoroughly understand what's happening, you have to be able to relate to clients. And oftentimes, I think that's also in building that trust and that compassion. That's when they really truly open up to you about all that they're experiencing, or, you know, what they're trying to get out of the experience or not. And I think it does help to put them at ease. So I think that's an amazing number one quality to look for in any team members.
Thank you. And quite honestly, sometimes you become part of that family's family.
Right. Yeah.
You know, you spend so much time with them, and I tell the team all the time that, and this is a bit over the top, but when you really look at it, it's the truth. They're experiencing activity in their home to the point where they're going to let 4 or 5 strangers run around their house on a Saturday night.
Mm-hmm.
They've gotten to the point where they need help, and they've chosen you. Out of all the teams in the world, out of all the teams in your area, they've chosen you. And your very first obligation is to not break that trust.
Right.
And I guess I come at it from a different point of view than some people. But going back to that case where I talked about the 9-year-old boy, after we got the family settled and after we got them comfortable, I did ask if I could talk to the boy. And I sat down with him, and I basically said, you know, there was somebody in here that should have known better. And they told you some very wrong things. There's nothing wrong with you. You're a perfectly good 9-year-old boy, and none of the stuff happening in this house is your fault. And me and the boy cried because that's what I do. But
yeah,
but it's getting that trust from a parent where they'll let you talk to their child. The best text messages I've ever gotten from clients are, "Hey, I just wanted to let you know that my child slept in his bed last night and he wasn't afraid." That's why I do this. All the other stuff comes from, I've been asked, "Hey, how did you get to the point you're at?" And first of all, you know me from earlier in the show. I don't understand what point I'm at to begin with. But honestly, just do the work and people that matter will notice. And if you just do the work and you're a good person and you treat people fairly, somebody's going to notice that you're doing a good thing. And I can't take all the credit for Fox City's paranormal team. There's Todd, there's Tammy, there's Dylan, there's 7 other people I'm not going to rattle off now because I'm going to forget one of them, and then holy cow, I got a civil war within the family. But no, there's some really good people, and they do wonderful work for this team. And their wonderful work has gotten us noticed and has gotten me opportunities, has provided me with a platform to make Potographs a success.
Wow.
So everything comes together. And I owe everything to the people on the team.
There you go.
I certainly don't do anything, by myself. And really it comes down to Todd and I picking people that are good people. And we've had pretty good luck with that. And as long as you have good people surrounding you, you can't help but succeed.
So that's a good point you made there. It's definitely more important, Tim, in your eyes, to put the individual before the team. That if an individual that's on your team's having issues, to try to get behind that person necessarily than what the team image is, because what's going on with this person might be something that you need to try to help and maybe fix. Because if they're part of your team and they're going through a tough time, if you don't do something to help them, then what good are they to the team?
This is years ago already, but Todd had a storm come through and a tree knocked out his entire garage, and the team went over there the next weekend and did a little demolition on his garage and got everything cleared up so they could bring in somebody to build him a new one. We had a team member who had a burglary at their home, I think 5 years ago, and we got a donation together from the team and replaced everything they lost.
Wow. So see, that's what a team is about. And you saying that right there just warms my heart, because that's exactly what that's about a team. And it's about helping the people on the team.
Honestly, that logo should say Fox City's Paranormal Family.
There you go.
Because they're my family. They're my brothers and sisters. And like I said, all the hard work that they put into it makes me look really good. It really does. So, a lot of the successes I've had individually are because of the work that they do.
You gotta love them. We got some more really very cool people on here chiming in. Lydia Johnson's here tonight. Hi, sweetheart. Steve White's popping in with a really good question here as well. Have you guys ever talked to a parent whose child had an imaginary friend? What's your thoughts on imaginary friends and children, Tim?
I dealt with one about 2 months ago. Nice family, great family. Asked us to come in and talk with their child. Off the top of my head, I think the child was 3 or 4 at the time, and had a friend that was trying to keep her from talking to her mommy. And they brought us in basically just to say, okay, let's eliminate this part of it before we start talking other things. How do you determine whether it's an imaginary friend or a spirit? It's not the easiest thing in the world, I will tell you that. And in that case, I actually called in a friend of mine, a medium, Deb DeRoos, because I felt like she had dealt with children before in the paranormal, and I thought that her expertise in that area was going to better suit that family than what I had to offer. And I'm blessed with a network of friends where I can just call people and say, hey, I need your opinion. was joking over the weekend on one of the threads on Facebook, joking about John Zaffis and getting him to a Potographs event. I got John Zaffis on speed dial. I don't use it unless I have to, but John will help me. I got a lot of great people. Dana Stricker's in the chat room right now, and Dana's helped us on cases. So
she has a good question for you too, Tim. She said, "Did you ever run out of a location due to activity?"
Absolutely not. My thinking is that family has brought us in to help them. And if I show fear, then what good am I to the family? So no, we've never gone running out of a location, never taken off and never gone back. That's pretty important to me.
Yeah, absolutely. And Bob has another great question. How do you verify what a spirit is telling you is true? There is no lie detector test for a ghost.
That is a very good question.
That is.
I feel like Bob's all over me tonight.
Bob's a good Bob. Let me tell you, there's no short. Bob knows. Bob knows.
Short answer is a lot of work. This isn't, hey, we're going to go in there for 40 minutes and do our thing, and then we're gone. We'll go in there as many times as we need to. Generally, I'll walk you through how our cases work. Generally, we do the initial interview. I like to go, if the place is close, and do kind of a tour of the home, get to know the family. And no, I was kidding, Bob. I love you too. Get to know the family, and then we do the investigation. If we get anything on that investigation of substance, then I'll contact one of my friends who's a medium. That could be Dana. That could be Scotty Rorick. That could be April Roan, because she does things remotely. At some point, that'll probably be Kelly Miller, because I've gotten to know her better. But the point is,
always happy to help. Always
use all of your resources, because it's not about me; it's about that family. So use every resource you have at your fingertips to help that family figure this out. There's no ego when it comes to this for me. I much rather go into a home and not find anything and find logical reasons and tell the family, here's what is happening, in our opinion. Now you can be comfortable. I don't need that big piece of evidence. Honestly, it doesn't do anything for me. But yeah, at the end of the day, we use all the resources that we have available. And it takes a lot for me to look at a family and go, yes, you have a spirit, or yes, you have a ghost. It's not something that I will proclaim after, being in there for 4 or 5, 6 hours.
And I did want to ask you too, Tim, like some of your Facebook posts recently about, kind of interesting dreams you've had and things like that. Do you have a lot of animal interaction, not just from Murray, but, do you believe in the relevance of animals during dreaming? Or have you had experiences like that?
I believe that the easiest way for a spirit, human or animal, to communicate with us is through our dreams. I think that's when we're the most vulnerable. I also believe that when I do have a dream about Murray and I wake up, I have this big smile on my face because I know he came home to see his dad.
Right.
But that's amazing. Just to add a little bit of laughter to this show, I had a dream last night that this beautiful woman came up to me.
I read it.
This beautiful woman came up to me and called me a thrift store couch. And I was like, ouch. Like, I didn't even know what it meant at the time. And then she went on to explain herself. And I never remember dreams. Well, I shouldn't say never. 9 times out of 10, I don't remember a dream. I don't remember all the details. But I woke up this morning and I wrote everything down. And I was like, I need to share this, because even my subconscious is like, you are a thrift store couch. And so I laughed about it and I shared it so people would laugh. But then there were a bunch of people that were trying to lift me up and tell me how wonderful I was. And one of those people was Keith. But no, I most of the things I do on Facebook are to make you laugh or to make you cry. There really is no in between.
Mm.
I've enjoyed some of your go lives, Tim, when you're sitting in a parking lot, you're in the car, and you go, I think I saw a new level of stupid today. And you say, there was this person. And it's literally so true. It's never even more comical than it is to go in some store somewhere and just people watch what people do, and it's just crazy.
I have yet to see this live, but now that's what I want to see.
He did them sometime.
If you feel so drawn to do it like tomorrow, I would be happy to tune in.
I haven't done a live like that in a while. I did share a story when I got my first vaccine. I got there early, and I was just kind of messing around on my phone, and I looked in front of me, and there was a truck with an older man who was just giving me the eyeball. So I dropped my phone, and I started a staring contest with him, and I won. And he was also very uncomfortable after that. But it's just like, I like to have fun with people, but the problem is I'm like 6'4", 260-ish pounds. So the first reaction people get is like they want to take their kids away from me because but if they got to know me, they would understand that I'm not threatening. But I do come off as intimidating, because I did notice when we were doing this and you guys were talking and I was reading some of the comments, when I start reading, I'm a natural mouth breather. So I'll look over and I'll be reading, and I'll look back at my picture, and my mouth will be hanging open like. and now
the revelations. The revelations from this show are just astounding.
Yes, I think what I've realized tonight is that every video interview that I've ever done, I don't look so smart.
You're very, very funny, Tim, and you are a smart man.
Like, don't hang on to the couch dream. I think somehow this is like interfering with what you're taking out of this experience, and she didn't really know what she was talking about. So,
thanks. I don't know. Like, there's some relevancy to it. I mean, I think my best days are probably behind me, looks wise. I'm not getting any better looking. And I probably do have a slight odor to me, because as we get older, we just stink. So, oh
my gosh.
Yeah. So all those people in the beginning that were like, "Oh, that's him. He's a fantastic guy." Now they're like, "What an a-hole."
They know you. That's how they love you, is your humor. I told them, be ready for an evening with Tim Maile. It's going to be off the chain. I can guarantee topics. So let's go in a little bit with some WWE. Whatever ended up being the love that you had? Because I have my own WWF stories, which went on to be WWE stories. But what was the whole connection for you? Was WWE? Talk us.
It actually started with AWA.
Okay.
Which was All-Star Championship or All-Star Wrestling Association, something like that.
Okay.
It was based out of Minneapolis with Vern Gagne, and part of the territories, they would come to Green Bay, I think once a month. And my mom and my dad would take me to see wrestling because I absolutely loved it. As I would get a bit older, and we're talking like after my dad's accident, when I was 8. So we're talking like 8, 9, 10 years old. Wrestling on Saturday morning was an hour in a fantasy world. And
yes,
it was a chance to get away from reality and a chance to forget all of the stuff that was horrible and just focus on an hour of these larger than life personalities. And that love never went away. But it's gotten to a point now where I can't keep up. I mean, there's probably about 15 hours of viewing in a week, and I am not willing to do that. I will tune in. I'm a big NXT guy. I like AEW, but not as much as a lot of people do. And I'll skim through Raw and SmackDown. I'm still a fan. Like, there's a few wrestlers out there that will get me to stop the DVR. Like, I absolutely love Kevin Owens. It's my favorite wrestler. I love Sami Zayn. I got a soft spot in my heart for Ken Anderson. My buddy Tim Woolworth reached out to him a couple of years ago, and Ken Anderson actually made a video for Murray.
Oh God.
Oh, that's
And,
cool.
and sent it to me. Basically, with him introducing Murray to a match, coming down the
Aw.
aisle, and did the whole Murray and then Murray because that was.
Oh.
So yeah, those guys. As a kid, I didn't know what a horrible person Hulk Hogan was, so I drank the Kool-Aid.
Mhm.
But yeah, it was just a chance to get away. And then there was a 3-year period there where I went to 3 WrestleManias in a row
Wow.
and just enjoyed life, and got to experience it. And people that come at me and say, "But it's fake, bro." So is every other TV show you watch.
Yep. That's an understatement.
Even your reality shows are scripted. I hate to break that to you. So yeah, I mean, it doesn't matter to me that it's predetermined. It still is. It's athletic, and it keeps my interest for the most part. And I just loved it as a kid, and it never went away.
I tell you, one of my favorite WrestleMania moments, no doubt, was when Hulk Hogan and the Ultimate Warrior. Hulk Hogan went in was the champ. Ultimate Warrior was the Intercontinental Champion, and so the Ultimate Warrior went in to win it, to go and try to win it all, and a brutal match, back and forth. Both of them with their finishing maneuvers. Hogan goes in back and forth, the 3 chops, the big boot off the ropes. Warrior takes the mat, gets it down, 1, 2, and he kicks out, and Hogan's like, no. And then, of course, that's when, literally Warrior takes him up, gives him the big gorilla press, drops him on his stomach. The Warrior goes off the ropes, big gorilla slam, rolls him over, and the 3 count hurt against the nation. 1, 2, 3, and they went on and knew. It was so amazing because the Warrior is up on that, and he's got both belts. And I mean, Hogan at that moment was not nobody was beating Hogan, but that's when he was going on his off to do his filming, right? And so they brought the Warrior in to do that, and then he didn't have a long stint. In fact, I think he lost it to a hamburger and fries match. Literally, it was like a Friday night, not even a pay-per-view. And Sergeant Slaughter, catches him with a chair or something, and Warrior goes to the mat and rolls him up, and then and I was like, what? Why was that? But Warrior went on to have a lot of success. Another one of mine, and I don't know what you felt about him, but I'm gonna see if you could pick this guy out. I am the one thing that no one else is. I'm absolutely
Kurt Hennig, Mr.
Yes, dude.
I will point out, I think we've lost Kelly. She
I feel like I'm there. Like he's telling these stories, and I'm like, really? Because I have no idea, and I had family that loved wrestling. I know some people in that arena type area, but I like to hear these stories. I mean, I just feel like I'm sitting in the front row. So thanks, guys. Thanks for reeling me in with this.
As a kid, my parents would take me to the matches in Green Bay, and I remember one night we had it was like the first 4 rows. I can't remember. I think I was 4 or 5 years old, and the Road Warriors came out.
Oh, sweet!
And you could smell their face paint because it was oil based at the time. And I'll never forget that smell. And then I was chanting Weasel at Bobby Heenan, who, by the way, is the best manager that ever was in the game.
God, he died too.
Yeah. And then my first moment where I knew, excuse me, where I knew I loved this and I was a little bit different. My uncle took me to watch WrestleMania 4 on closed circuit TV before they had pay-per-view. Mm-hmm. And closed circuit TV, they got this big screen, and there's there had to have been 1,000 of us in there.
Right.
And WrestleMania 4 at the time, I was probably how old was I? 88? I would have been 13.
God, yeah.
12, because it wasn't my birthday yet. Anyway, and as a 12-year-old, I was the only one in the building rooting for Demolition as they beat Strike Force. Because back then you didn't root for the bad guy. And but I just, like, at the time as a kid, I didn't realize that Demolition was just a rip-off of the Road Warriors. And I thought it was the greatest thing in the world. But we brought Darren back.
Darren in the house with an AEW fan here for the thousands in attendance and the millions listening to us tonight.
Ring your bell. Keith, ring your bell. This is what the bell's for. There we go.
This is for the World Wrestling Heavyweight title.
I'm going to get up right now. I got to show you something.
He's wearing a belt. He's wearing
what
a belt.
You gonna do, baby? Woo!
Fantastic.
Yes, we said we were going to go there, folks. We went there. We did it.
That's from a Raw in Green Bay in 1996. We had front row tickets.
God.
And they gave you the seat back then. So that's my computer chair.
Yep. Oh man, so many memories. You know, I guess that's what all of us tends to, how it ties us together, of how we get to be friends and then the stories and growing up. But and you know, you look at these people in here, some of them, Kevin Hart, you know, he's giving me a little shout out. Keith is a great storyteller. I put a lot of emphasis when I have that feeling of something that's just so like wrestling, because it brings that to you when you're in that arena and you're seeing that. So just to let you know a little insight, folks, if you don't know this, we're going to share some knowledge. There is a new LOD now, and it is the one and the only the two of the best out there in the paranormal right now, and that is Mustafa Gallarelli and Daryl Martinson. They are out and about all over, going to places, and everybody's putting the love out there, calling them the LOD, that they're the Legion of Doom. But two really great guys. They do work together very well, and I'm blessed also to have them as friends also. So what a great deal. We got Dale in the house. Dale Kaczmarek says hi, Tim. I guess that's one of your buds there.
Dale is a very influential paranormal investigator from the Chicago area.
There he is, right there in the house.
Been doing this for, I believe, about 40 years. I don't want to date you, but very early on, Dale was one of the people that sat down with me and would answer any questions I had. I was I don't want to sound like a spoiled teenage girl and #blessed, but I was very blessed when I got into this field, that a lot of good people took me under their wing and really saw something in me and answered any questions I had. You know, people like John Kachuba, people like Keith Age, just a bunch of great people. James Willis, Dale.
Oh, we got the little question here, and it's been coming up a lot lately, Tim. I'll see what you think about that. The old question, what are your feelings about the old flashlight game? There's been a lot of talk about that lately. What's your thoughts, Tim?
I've seen it debunked, so I know it's not a thing.
Yeah.
It has to do with the heating element in the flashlight, and if you get it to that perfect point, you can almost time when it's going to go on and off.
Yeah.
So I don't have anything good to say about it. So Grandma always said, "Don't say nothing."
That's kind of where, Darren. Yeah, that's been there's actually been some stuff out that they've been doing some talks about that. And listen, one of the things we of us here at Talk to Paranormal, and Kelly has said, and Tim's been around this for many years, is that if you're out there and you're doing something and that's the bread of the day and the butter's on it, it's the toast, and you love how it you know. But when you got a legend like, Dale speaking up right here now saying it doesn't work, gauge that for what it's worth, folks. Look at it and think, okay, we've got much better equipment out there. I mean, I have an entire room, 360 around me. I guess there's almost nothing I don't own. And the reason why is I like to try to have that tool for me in the toolbox. So if you have access to something that is shown, time tested, and proven to work, go towards that, because Tim talked about it earlier about helping these clients. And if you've got this little popsicle that you're sitting there watching it wither away and melt, and that's not working compared to something that's going to, get some answers, go with what's going to give you the answers. Don't go with something that's, that's not. So Darren also asked something about questions. What are your views on the Estes message, Tim?
Always. I was going to talk about the favorite outside the box technique. I can touch on both though.
Okay, go ahead.
I'll touch on both. A very smart man in the paranormal field, Paul Browning, has a couple of good books out there, and it's thinking outside the box. And one of the things that I do on occasion that I learned from him is putting notes down for the spirit next to a recorder and just asking them to do something. And throughout the night, just seeing if they will do that. It took me a couple of years into this field before I realized that, yes, we're trying to help the client, but we also have a great opportunity to help a spirit. And things took off when we started talking to them like they were human instead of just interrogating, just sitting down and having a conversation, asking them about their life. Because at one point they had hopes and dreams and families and all these things that they wanted to accomplish. You really want to get to know somebody, you ask that person about those things. Mm-hmm. And it's no different with the spirit world. Yeah. The Estes method I have used with inconsistent results. I believe it works. It just hasn't been consistent for us, so it's not something that I can go to and say, this is going to be our go-to method. I've used it, but not to the point where I would say, put my stamp of approval on it. I will say this about when they show it on TV. I want to hear what they're hearing in their earbuds.
Yeah.
Because I'm just taking their word for it that all these things are being
right.
And I'm not saying please don't take that the wrong way. I'm not calling anybody out for anything within the paranormal field. That's not what I'm doing. But if you want to lend some believability to it, let us hear those recordings. Mm-hmm. That's all I'm saying.
Very, very, very good.
Very valid point. Yeah. Yeah. And Tim, you said that you had some events coming up, on your calendar into the next few months, maybe. Is there anything you want to share with anybody about that?
Tim live in concert 2021.
The Tim tour.
Yes.
I got a few things left this year. I'm blessed to be at the Michigan Paracon.
Yep.
Brad Blair, Tim Ellis bringing me up there for that. I was supposed to be there in 2020 and then COVID. But they were nice enough to bring me back 2021. So I'm looking forward to that. My first time there. Do have an event in Wisconsin for the Second Chance North shelter. It's the good people that put me in touch with Ray. They got a hold of me and said, we're bringing this litter of puppies up from Alabama, and you can have your pick. Because they were lab pit puppies, the same thing that Murray was. And I picked Ray because she had the same markings as Murray as a puppy. So and then in October, they haven't announced me publicly, so I don't think I'm supposed to say where I'm going to be, but I'll be in the state of Indiana, and you can figure it out from there. And then in March, next March, we're going to be back in Michigan for Potographs Parafest 3. April, we're going to be at Ashmore Estates. There's some other buildings that are talking to us about possible Potographs events next year. So a lot of good things are happening. And the Potographs events, you can go to potographsforpooches.com, click on the events page. And right now, the only thing on there is a September event. But once I get an updated poster for Michigan Paracon, I'll be putting that on there. And a lot of good things on the horizon for us.
I tell you, and I think I speak for Kelly because we have that little love. I will go on as to say is this, because if there's something with Potographs into even this year, but into 2021, and you need some love for some folks to help push the show, talk about it, come be at your event, bring a absolute, Pelican trunk case of equipment and be there. Between myself and Kelly, I believe you can put us down, and we really do mean that. We're both animal lovers, but more than anything, we love Tim Molly, and that's why I've even told Kelly. I said, "You're going to get to," and she's even. Y'all have this friendship now. There's like this whole. Oh, I've been talking to him.
I heard that there may be a trip to Pennsylvania too, like somewhere along the line. There's too much of the battlefield he hasn't seen. We've uncovered this in conversation. So
I've got a personal tour guide to go to.
Yep. So there's lots of like East Coast stuff. Like maybe we could bring your events a little bit this direction.
We can talk about it. I did an event at Hinsdale House. And Keith was there.
I was there. What a time. I tell you what was fun. Tim Shaw, if you have never, and I said never, got to go meet the man. Woo, baby. Get in the house, rock the house, and meet the one, the only Tim Shaw. You have to do it. The man is a God. How can you not love that guy?
You broke me. You absolutely broke me.
Funny. Tim Shaw was there with us in that living room, and there was a name said that came through the portal. And I mean to tell you, Tim had a moment with it, and we were all like, whoa. But I'm going to tell you, when you got Tim Shaw doing an investigation and you're around, it's like you just want to sit there and listen, because we were having a ball and we were getting a lot of interaction. But I'm going to tell you what, not only Dan, our friend, Dan Claus from the Hinsdale House, but James was there and so many other really cool people. But if that happens there again, I'll book it tomorrow. That's just another amazing location. So
it is an amazing location, and Dan Class gave us that place for free and said raise as much money as you can for Star Shelter. And there's only so many people you can bring to the Hinsdale House and still make it comfortable.
Yeah.
So we did the best we could there. That might be something we look for in the future. Yes. Maybe go there some other year. Dan is a great friend, though. Fantastic ambassador for the paranormal field.
Another guy that you just look towards of having a friend. It's like a brother. Again, another person that I'm like, I go to him a lot. Hey, Dan, can we talk? And Keith. Another great guy, but what he does also, that with the Hinsdale House and even out there with the paranormal and teaching people, what a great guy. I had a blast. If we get to do that, count me in.
Yes, Kevin, you were there.
Laughing at Kevin.
That's right, he was.
Kevin's not recalling if he was there.
He had ridden up with James Anito.
He was there. Kevin was there. We had a blast. There was all kinds of stuff going on, I think, upstairs and we were out in the woods and we had the lights. I really feel a strong Native American presence there out in those woods, because what was out there was the mystery lights. And the closer they were, and they were like, it's 100 yards. It's right there. We walked 100 yards. Oh, it's still, we're like, it's something about it, but it's the grounds, the building. Just, if you get a chance to go to the Hinsdale House, do it, and then do it again, because that's an amazing location.
Last May, I got a chance to go out there with Todd and Stephanie from our team. And then James Anito and Carl Johnson met us out there. And we had the building for the weekend, just the 5 of us. It was my birthday weekend, so Dan Class brought out like 6 wings for us. We had a great time. And I will tell you this, I didn't go into the woods much, because you know what's in the woods besides spirits? Things that want to freaking eat you, Keith. That's what's in the woods. And also, every morning that we got up, there was always deer in the yard. And I just thought that was really cool. You know, we go outside and Todd and I would just stand there and watch the deer. But yeah, it was an active location even then. So
we got a lot around that pond that was just, and Kevin went back off in there and, hey, Kevin, hey, I'm getting something over here. And he'd be like, and he was talking, and me and Tim kind of was laughing, but Kevin come back and said, well, man. And it's always fun with Kevin because it is compelling. He'll like, listen, do you hear it? I'm like, yep, no doubt. Kevin, listen, I've learned even from Kevin, we bounce a lot of tech stuff back. And he says, "Have you bought this yet, Keith?" I'm like, I'm looking at it. Okay, dude. And then we play back and forth about, "Oh, did you get that? Okay, I'm gonna get." And he goes out. We play that back and forth. But how can you not love Kevin? So much heart and passion. He's also been on a couple paranormal shows where he's done some really cool stuff. So, listen, another great guy to learn from for sure, folks. We've had Tim on here, and he's put up with me and Kelly for close to an hour and a half. If you've got some questions, go ahead and get them to us. I know that
I do have a couple last minute ones you could rattle off pretty quickly, I think, Tim. But
go ahead.
One was asked if you ever ran into prankster spirits when things were there and then just have been moved. So that's one question, if you've ever encountered spirits like that.
I think that was my mom that asked that question. Because she's had things move in her house, so she wants to know if that's ever happened to me. Not on an investigation, but we ran into claims of it. But nothing specifically on an investigation that we've come across.
Okay. Another one is, have you tried to do a tarot card reading for a spirit with a recorder running to see what you get out of it?
I stay in my lane, and I'm not a tarot card reader. So, no, I have not done that. Yeah, I like to just do what I do. Also, I haven't mentioned it on the show, but I am the least techie person in the paranormal.
That's my title. That's my title. What in the world?
We can be the least techie team.
Okay, well, yeah.
Look at that. And we formed a team tonight, Keith.
I know.
And you know what? I'm blessed to have the friends I do that are really good at it. Hello. I've got some of them that have taught me, and I've learned, and I continue to, because my obsession with it is that how are we going to be able to say something to the client if we're not able to document that in a way to where we what we heard, we have down, we saw, we took a picture. And I do saturate the area, but I do it enough to where it's appropriate for that environment. And we've documented some things that, thank God, and the latest stuff is my chest cam. The cop cameras, I'm going to tell you, if you don't have one, get one. Because when you're walking around trying to set stuff up, you have no idea what could walk out all of a sudden and look right at you and walk right. And we've got that before. And that's when you know you're making a difference. That's when it's really cool.
There was one question, too, that went up a little higher in the chat. It says, what's the one object in the world you would never want to be haunted?
I'm going to steal Dale's answer. My bathroom. My toilet. Please don't haunt my toilet. In all seriousness, please don't haunt my car. One of my biggest fears when Murray was alive was that I was going to bring home something that was going to attach to him and do him harm. Mm-hmm. So at that point, my biggest fear and the thing I didn't want to get haunted was Murray.
Sure. Yeah.
So.
Then you have to look out for especially not just because he's your son and your fur angel, but also because it's within the realm of your home, the walls of your home. You don't want that either. And I think the last question that I see posted that we didn't get to yet is from Darren. And he says, do you like to use the ghost hunting apps?
Darren's trying to get me in trouble too.
Darren.
No, I don't use the apps. I dabbled with the ghost radar back in the day. I use my phone for phone stuff. I'm not anti-tech. I will use anything once, and if I find it's valuable to me, the team, or the client, I will continue to use it. But I tend to get distracted, and if I have too many things in the room that are making noises and lights are flashing, my fear is that I'm going to miss something that happens in front of my face. So that's why I don't use too much tech. It's not that I'm anti-tech. It's just, like I say, I stay in my lane.
So Dale brought up a good point there about the Phasma box. As far as out there with something that we've had some really good, me and John have had really good intelligent responses that I could say if you were going to use one, and I will say, yeah, I think it's one that's okay, It is the Phasma box. There's been some other ones out there that people tend to kind of talk all the rage, and I kind of looked at them, and the next thing I know, I found that it just wasn't getting me those intelligent stuff like, and they're talking to me, and like, what am I holding in my lap? And I got Petey in my lap, and they're like, a camera or a hat, and I'm like, okay, why did this last app just answer everything? So the Phasma box is one I like what Dell is saying. I agree for sure. And then, of course, you got Darren's jumping in there. He says he uses the Spiritus and the Necrophonics. And again, folks, if that's the stuff that's all the icing on your cake and it lights your candles and it tastes good, eat the cake. If that's the thing. Because for me,
I'm not telling you not to. I'm just saying it's not for me.
Mm-hmm.
I will say this, Keith. You kind of worried me when you talked about Petey in your lap. I was really hoping that was your dog.
And there's one that's going to get the bell right there. Yeah. So Petey is my dog. I guess if John's listening, if he can bring Petey here. So if you're in the house, John, if you're still listening, if you could bring Petey and Bandit here, I want to give some love to the fur babies.
When we were at Hinsdale together, you were using the Phasma box then. That was the only time I ever used it. And I remember the Phasma box calling me fat.
Phasma box?
Yeah.
Yeah. Offensive Phasma box. How dare you?
Yeah. No, it said, you said which Tim, because there were
many Tims. Three at that night?
Yeah, and Woolworth was supposed to be there, but he wasn't feeling well, so it was Shaw and myself. But we asked which Tim, and it replied with the fat one.
Oh, the hits just keep on coming. Yeah, so that's not very nice. And Darren's got another one. I don't know if he's trying to hem you up or not, Tim. But what's been your favorite EVP? What's your favorite EVP you got? Like
I have two favorites. The first favorite was back from that case that ended up on Paranormal Witness. We were trying to make contact with a 2-year-old boy that was in foster care that had been murdered by his foster father. And we wanted to gain his trust. And part of that was calling him by his correct name. His name was Walter Kristen, but he preferred to be called Chris from everything that we knew.
Wow.
And we asked him what his name was, and we got a little boy answering saying, "My name is Chris." And the other one that I absolutely love, we were doing a home in East Troy, Wisconsin. It was at one point a funeral home. And we had been talking to the spirit of a little boy. And there's a little background I need to give. I like to use trigger objects when it comes to child spirits. And that particular night we were using some stuffed animals. And one of the stuffed animals that they had was this panda that was kind of holding a heart, but one of the arms had been ripped, so it looked a little sexually suggestive. So I was calling it sexual harassment panda from South Park. And at one point I was talking seriously to this little boy, and I said, you can grab any of these stuffed animals. You can grab and for some reason I paused, and then I said the panda. But in between that pause, the boy screamed out, "Panda." And that's probably, like, quality wise, my favorite EVP.
There you go. Wow.
But yeah, so a couple of good ones.
Yeah. And if anybody who's watching or watches the replay of this and wants to contact you about coming and doing an event, a Potographs event, is there a way for them to get in touch with you?
I'm sorry, I was distracted. I didn't hear the question. I apologize.
No, that's okay. I was waiting for Keith's bell, honestly. So that's what I was waiting for. But is there a way that anybody who's watching or watches the replay and wants to do an event and have Potographs there, is there a way that they can get in contact with you to do that?
The easiest way to find me, which is becoming more difficult because I'm getting closer and closer to that elusive 5,000 friend mark.
Oh boy.
Find me on Facebook. Just send me a message there. Send a message to the Potographs for Pooches Facebook page, or send us an email at potographsforpooches@gmail. The 4 is actually a number. So potographs4pooches@gmail.com. Any of those ways you can find me, and I'd be more than happy to talk to you. And Darren said he loves picking people's brains. I will answer any questions you have, Darren, but be careful. There's only so much brains up there, and I can't share them all.
Kind of like the cerebral assassin we had. Who was a wrestler known as the cerebral assassin, Tim?
It was Triple H.
Gosh.
Yes!
Yeah.
Another. The man is a walking. How can you not? Folks,
If you're looking for a guy with useless information, I'm your guy.
Now, I've learned a lot about wrestling tonight. All right. So that's been very valuable. I didn't realize Keith's storytelling ability, where this came from. I mean, I feel like we all have bonded on so many levels tonight.
oh, well, yeah.
And the next time we're all together, I'm going to ask you to tell me every wrestling story that you know, so that
and it's so many questions keep coming in. That's the man we all love. Tim's got some great ones. I mean, from your strangest experience you've had, kind of what are your views on shamans? I mean, there's a lot of things, but we don't want to get into too much of your evening, Tim. I know you got the babies there. You may need to either feed or be around.
Well, I've used a shaman on a few occasions. We used a shaman. I can't remember how long ago, but it was a Native American spirit that was angry about some grave robbing in the area and took it out on the wrong person. And we were called in to help. He used a very good friend of ours, Jeff Resman, put us in contact. And we were able to go through a shaman and get them the help that they needed. What is the other one? The strangest experience?
That's coming from Kevin Hart. So we don't worry. What's your strangest personal experience? It doesn't say paranormal. It just says what's your strangest personal experience.
And his follow-up will be, was he there? That will be the follow-up.
No, Kevin was not there. Strangest personal experience. I think I was 11 or 12 years old, and I didn't know what had just come out of my body. How's that one, Keith?
Oh, 5 yards. Repeat the downs. First down. Kevin, if that didn't make you,
Kevin was definitely not there.
Kevin, if that didn't make you laugh, I got nothing for you.
Bonding on so many levels. So many levels we bonded tonight.
So
everybody. Oh my God! Listen, I can only imagine what people are going to talk about tomorrow. Could you believe where they went to yesterday? Listen, we warned you. We told you. It said it on the promo card. You knew when you walked in the arena and walked that aisle. Listen, folks.
You know what just dawned on me?
What?
First of all, if my mom is still listening, sorry I told a masturbation joke. And second of all, we can't end the interview on a masturbation joke.
Oh,
we have to have another serious question. We just have to.
Okay.
Well, thank you, because Bob ended it so well. Thank you, and enjoy the show. And let me tell you, coming from Bob, that does mean a lot, because the man is so true to love. Bob, we love you. We love you. We love you. We love you so many times over. We here at Talking Tech Paranormal could just really, with what you do and you promoting these shows, we so appreciate that and appreciate what you do is out there in the paranormal as well. So thank you. We hope we Julie said it was so funny. Oh,
Mom, you're supposed to be in bed by now.
Yeah, there we go, folks. So we got nothing for you, Tim. Real quick, how some ways folks can get a hold of Tim? What's your contacts?
Just Facebook, Maile. Get those requests in, because I think I'm at like 4960 something now. And then you can email me at fcpt.wi@gmail.com. I'm pretty accessible, and I'm pretty easy to find on social media.
And so when we start getting back, folks, too, with those Partagraphs events, and you start seeing them, and they're in a really great city, and you know now that this is the face to the Partagraphs, along with Murray, obviously. But this is Tim. This is the guy. We've heard about him. If you haven't, reach out to him. talk about it. If you have a city where people love the paranormal and would love that event, and it's probably a good opportunity for success, reach out to Tim, because that's really what it comes down to being all about, is being able to help our little four-legged friends, and Tim making it happen and going from there.
And Tim, are you okay to wait backstage for just a few minutes while Keith and I wrap up?
I would love to wait backstage.
Okay. Thank you so much for joining us. We're so thankful that you answer all these questions and embarrass yourself in front of your mom. And, like that's how we, just makes us want to do more. So have you back again. So
thanks for having me on tonight. I appreciate it. It was a lot of fun.
Oh, it was a blast.
Thanks, Tim.
And well, folks,
we had so much fun, and now it's almost bedtime.
It's every week that we do, when we do a show, and then the next week we have one, we do it. It's like more fun, more people, more involvement. Share, show, and spread the love for the show, folks. Because really, the show's about me and Kelly talk about. It's really about all of you out there, our listeners. It is a guest-driven show as well. We love to have the folks on here, and then topics. Listen, I'm on the phone a lot, reaching out to people who are in the worlds of the cryptids, in the world of so many other things in the paranormal. I'm just telling you right now, some of the stuff I've got in the crock pot, mixing it up and ready to serve to you, it's going to be exciting. You're going to want to be, and some of the people, those people, like, whoa, you're having who on the show? Yes, those people. So I'm just letting you know right now, every time we have a show, we want to have it better and better and just more amazing. We thank you. We love you guys.
So
what a fun thing. Hanging out with us. Love. We do the whole thing right here. We couldn't do the show without you guys, because y'all are the ones who helped show us that you love the show, and we want to keep doing that. So thank you so much.
And we'll see you in 2 weeks on Monday night.
2 weeks.
That's right.
See you.
Good night, everybody.